Okay, welcome friends to the Purple Mountain podcast, and it's a very special episode, and we're not live, but we are live because we're together. We are in person, so it's a really special episode, and because with me, Chris and Stephen, and our very special guests Aimee and Emma have joined us as well, who've been with us many times, our soul sisters. And on this episode, it's all going to be about music and mantras and the power of finding our voice, our truth, and sharing that truth. We just want to welcome anybody who's watching us on YouTube, listening to us on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're listening to us or watching us around the world. We just want to send lots of love to all our brothers and sisters watching, and we hope you're going to find this episode, what we're about to talk about, nourishing. What you've missed out on a little bit is we've been talking for about 2 hours before we started. But it's all built to this lovely energy, and everyone who's listening, I wish you could feel what we feel now, because it's lovely and warm and comfortable in here, and you know, it's full of open hearts. So I know we're going to have a great hour or so, and it will include some music that Aimee and Emma are going to share with us as well. We're going to talk about their work. So I think a great place to start off with you both would be how your journey started with music. So I don't know who wants to go first. And your first, your experiences with music personally, and then how it developed into you knew you were going to be a channel for music.
Great. Yeah. Juicy.
Very in depth.
It's all yours.
Straight in there.
Yeah, no, I love that question. Shall I go?
Yeah, go for it.
God, it's been such a journey for you. I think music for me has been my absolute backbone through life, actually. In terms of music as a healing, you know, as receiving music as healing, it's always been seeing me through, you know, every experience, highs and lows throughout life. And then when I was 18 and, you know, going through quite a deep journey on my path with my body, and you know, a lot of disconnection, dis-ease, pain, you know, those places where we often rebirth. I found, you know, ways of an outlet to express that through writing song, and that was really my own healing. It was the foundations of what led me to actually, you know, begin the spiritual path, and to then kind of full cycle 10 years after that realise that actually music can be a medicine and provide the healing that it gave me. So then it was like this shift of, well, actually, if I write about truth and I write about, you know, love and the essence that we are, is that actually can be something that can really make an impact, the same way it has done for me. And it's kind of been that journey for the last 15 years. So it's really, it's my root, and I wouldn't be here without it.
And can you trace any songs that, particularly around sort of that age, when you talk about being 18, it was like, this was really my song that took me through, that I found very emotional, because I found that in my life as well. Songs that carried me through certain points in my life.
God, there's so many for me. I mean, from every genre as well. You know, from like, you know, classic rock and to all the way through to like Enigma was a big one for me. It really sticks out because I was really into rock and alternative music at the time, and my mum was really into, you know, Enigma and Enya, and really brought that. I was so lucky to have that sort of in my field growing up. And then my dad, when I did see him, was like Stone Roses, and you know, like that other sort of side of it. And it was the song "Return to Innocence." That song, and I didn't know what it meant at the time. I was going through. I was in a destructive way of living. I was running from everything that was going on, and I remember that song always being in this. It was almost like a whisper. And I'd hear this song and it would move me so much. I'd come home in these really dark places and put it on. I had no idea what innocence meant or what the song meant or what it was feeling, but it was like a shining light. And there was a sense of promise, and it just made me feel so much. And even now, like when I hear that song, it's like, I've come home. And it's that journey of returning to our pure nature, isn't it? Yeah. So that one for me has been a lifelong.
And I think what stands out, what you said there, is not hearing, feeling. You felt it.
Oh,
And that's the dip. I know we spoke a little bit before we started about receiving the song through the heart.
Yes.
And when we feel a song, and I almost could picture some of these, you know, when these stadiums and festivals are full, and people are all feeling this energy. That's powerful.
Oh, it's one of the most exquisite feelings in the world, isn't it? And everyone's feeling the same in the same moment. It's like you become one, which is what we are. There's nothing more powerful than that.
We were listening, we talk about synchronicity. Krista said, what's this music that I was playing this morning while we were having a meditation, and it was Enigma. And I've not put that playlist on for quite a while, and it's very powerful. It gives me tingles in the back of the neck.
And I think that's important for everybody listening. I'm sure a lot of people know this already, but it's all them genres. It's what speaks to you.
Yes.
I mean, I couldn't understand the rock music, and that came to me because I was actually a huge Meatloaf fan. That's what pulled me in, the theatrics and the story. It's like a story.
Yeah.
And then I've always been very, like, being open to all, because anything can speak to you at any time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's really special. So sort of as you went on your journey, Aimee, what did you sort of face when you found, you know, this is the path I'm going to walk with music? Did you, in terms of belief and believing that you could?
Gosh, great question. Oh, amazing.
It's getting warmer.
Yeah, I can feel the heat rising. Yeah, brilliant question. I think, you know, it's interesting. I think it's only really been recently, very recently actually, you know, 33 years old, actually realising, actually no, I trust myself, I trust my gifts, I trust in this medicine and this message, and actually in the intention of what it carries and how it's carried. Because I think society, you know, tells us so many things about our creativity. It's very suppressed. And, you know, I had, you know, imprints coming my way as a child when I was, you know, a young woman. I was like, I want to do this. You can't do that. You can't do that. That doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't, you know, you have these imprints that, and then it's also vulnerable, isn't it? It's our voice. It's our truth. It's our most vulnerable. It's part of our soul. So there's these processes that, you know, we're all human. We still go through them. Even though I've been singing for 15 years, still go through these, you know, the illusion of is this enough? But now I feel like I'm finally at a space where I trust in this, but it's been fruitful and it's still fruitful, because that's the beauty of it.
I think that's always the great honour of anybody opening up musically, because I feel they are literally opening themselves, all the vulnerability, everything, and saying, this is me.
Yes, exactly.
And I feel it's a privilege to be around anybody that's opening up that kind of gift and sharing it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also, I think, as well as what I've realised, especially in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, is it's not even, it's us, you know, in the human state that is performing and singing, but it's not, it's grace, it's spirit. And when you actually surrender to that, and the more you surrender to that, and not having this attachment, this is mine, and it's not, it's just being a vessel for what wants to move through you. And then I don't know, it becomes a greater level of a relationship of trust with it, because you know it's a service. It's a service that is given, and
so true.
When you want to spread love, how can there be anything not enough about that? You know what I mean?
It's in abundance.
Yeah, because it just is. Yeah.
I mean, a question actually that was, I'll come to Emma with this same question again in a little bit, about in terms of memorising songs or remembering them. Now, is that different in terms of being a channel for this ceremonial music? Because in a way, is the song part of you as you're receiving it?
Gosh.
So how does songs in terms, does it work? Is it hard to memorise songs, or do you find it's best to just let it be?
Yeah, it's such a great question, and I'm laughing at myself inwardly, because there's this part of me, and Em knows, before I go to, you know, hold a weekend in medicine ceremony or anything, even, you know, a retreat, I always go, I need to write out my set list. I need to remember the songs that I've played. And as if, you know, sometimes I take it with me, and it's all written out. I mean, but as if, you know, when you're actually in that moment, you're going to go to it, like you said, I've been writing things down earlier. It's too linear for that, and I think it's, again, just going into that moment, being present and trust, because it's all inheritedly just pours through you naturally anyway. And if you try to think about anything mind-based, am I going to remember this? you know, it changes. I think
And
it's
it's
just
in control of the mind then.
exactly
You're going into the mind, yeah.
We found as well with us holding space that with our playlists that often we create playlists, but actually on the night with the group, you find probably even with the music that you play that the right songs are needed at that moment in time, and that's why you can't write things down, because it has to be organic, it has to be natural. And I guess that's the same with your songs, I guess, as well on the night that is right for the ceremony, and the people that need it, because I find that some songs can trigger certain things.
100%. And I think, you know, something that's been really interesting is when you spin it to that, it's like actually it's almost like reading the energy of the room without thinking about it but feeling it. And you know, people come back and say, oh my God, like every single moment that I was in a process, you were singing about what I needed to hear. But it's not you, it's, you know, it's grace, it's spirit, it's the medicine. It's just trusting in that and leaning wherever you need to go. But it's quite amazing.
Absolutely.
You just sort of let go of needing to know and feeling what needs to flow.
Yeah, going with the flow.
Yeah,
Very, very important.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing, that, absolutely amazing. And I just want to touch on it a little bit when you were talking about your vulnerability, and I find that it's your vulnerability that can relate is the relatability to other people, and I found as well with music. Do you find that with your own personal experiences, the traumas that has triggered in your music, in your writing, do you think that maybe has actually enhanced your music ability? Because you find that you listen to some songs and you don't relate to them, but then with some songwriters you can feel the vulnerability in them, you can feel their trauma, because they're actually writing and singing from a place, oh, I can really relate to them. So do you feel that as well?
100%, yeah. And I think, you know, that's where we really feel soul to soul, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same with you, the way you write and the places that you write from. So you should speak about that.
It's you're writing with the emotion that you're feeling.
Yeah.
So when you're singing it for people, or you know, when people are receiving it, they're feeling that emotion as well. They're feeling the trauma and the realizations and the healing that you've been through. That's coming through the song. That is, for me, you know, writing music has been such a healing process for me, and it has helped me through so much. So when you're, you know, giving that to people, they're feeling that healing as well, and they're feeling the energy behind that song.
So do you think then, because when we got into the spiritual work, we found me in particular come from a very traumatic upbringing, and you probably find that talking to a lot of people that are in the medicine work that haven't had it easy, that have had quite a traumatic upbringing in the early life, do you sort of feel that as you are reincarnating that it is almost necessary, sort of an important part of making it a bit more difficult for us to really trigger that gift? Do you think that? Can you relate to that a little bit as well, Emma?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's almost, you know, you go through the hardship and then it's like a reward of like, okay, well, here's a gift for you to then shine through to help others with, you know, whatever they're going through. So there's definitely this kind of reward that comes through any kind of hardship, trauma that you do go through in this life, for sure, so that you can help shine light for other people's, you know, things that they've been through.
Wow. And then they can relate to you too, because you know, being in the dirt and in these places of, you know, of darkness or feeling lost, you know, it's where we birth, it's where we bloom. And actually I think, you know, it teaches us things that, you know, like presence and compassion, you know, like the fundamentals of what it means to connect with people through vulnerability, through those experiences. Like for me, it's like, oh, thank God all that happened. Even though at the time it was like, gee, oh God, how much more, you know.
And then you have gratitude for everything that you've been through.
So much.
And then, like, if you think about the songs that you connect to the most, it's like, oh, I relate to that so much. So when you're speaking from your own truth, you know, we see mirrors in each other all the time, don't we? So when we're connecting to what other people have been through, which connects us all.
So really a message to people that are listening today is that, you know, everything that happens for a reason. It's not that universe is against us.
No.
They work with us.
Totally.
And there isn't a bad experience. It's observed and embraced with gratitude and grace that everything happens for a reason. It helps you grow.
And I think the other important point is here that as anyone who's holding space in any way, that I love this sense that there isn't a mastery from anyone, that's we're healing together. As I'm doing this work, I'm healing and you're healing, and we're all doing this work at the same time. It's no one stood over anyone or above. We're all one.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what's nice. There's so many things in this world we want to come over. I am the teacher, I am in charge.
That guru mentality.
Well, no, we're healing. I'm healing, or something that I'm seeing in you is helping to heal me.
We're all each
mirror.
other's teachers, aren't we?
We're all mirrors, aren't we? Triggers,
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask, just coming to Emma with a similar question, just about your journey, and maybe songs that help you through difficult periods of your life, and when you discovered that this is going to be part of my purpose of being a song carrier. I love that word. I've just come back to it.
Yeah.
Love it, song carrier. So.
It's an honour, really. So, you know, I've come from a very kind of musical family, both on my dad's side and my mum's side. So music has always been a very huge part of my life and childhood, and I was always around music. And you know, I was always very encouraged to sing by my family members, but I was so shy. Like I would never use my voice. I was really, you know, encouraged to, but it was something that I was like, oh no, like I can't do that. I'm not good enough. But it was always something that meant so much to me, and I knew I had a voice, but it was just finding the confidence to, you know, to be able to use it. So my journey has really been about opening up that, you know, the portal of my voice. There was many years of silence for me in that sense, you know, not having a voice and not speaking out and not singing, and always for myself, but, you know, never sharing it. And then when I started on this kind of path, you know, of spirituality, I started, you know, becoming really interested in yoga, and that led to other things like mantra. So that was kind of the opening for me. That was the key. And, you know, I was going to kirtan spaces where, you know, you're chanting mantra, and for me that was incredible. And I remember I wrote in my diary that I found recently, the first kirtan that I ever went to. I wrote, I feel like I'll hold kirtan ceremonies myself one day, and this was like years ago, and then it was like something
like a vision board.
Yeah.
Vision for the intention set.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, the more I started using this as a practice for myself to open up my throat, it opened up this channel of creativity for me. And then I realised, you know, the more I started, you know, I stepped into sharing these mantras and sharing this healing with others, I opened this channel of creativity for, you know, original music to come through me. And yeah, these downloads of inspiration and music and songs, like you're saying, like carrying these songs that I always knew that were in me. Even from when I was like really young, I always like, I want to be able to write songs. I want to write an album. Like there was something in me, like ready, and you know,
like the cork's ready to come out of the bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to come.
And it wasn't like as soon as it happened, like, and it's only been since, you know, it's about 6-7 months, and then all these like literally like floods of songs are just pouring through.
With so many musicians, ceremonial musicians, and you'll think they sound like they've been singing and playing their instruments for 10-20 years to me, and they'll turn around and go, oh no, 5 years, 12 months, or when I went travelling and I came back as a musician.
It's like
and you're
that.
like, wow, and that just shows when we let go. But what I found interesting is that power of mantra. So would you say that opened up, and that give
Definitely.
you a sense to really step into your true being, your true power,
Definitely.
and it opened that line up, and
it
really
was.
feel like this is who I'm meant to be.
Totally,
You
yeah,
know,
it was
because
like
it sounded like a time of receiving.
Yeah, it was like a remembering almost, like I was
Yeah.
remembering who I was, and you know, opening up these channels to these deities, God's spirit, and it was like flooding into me, and I could feel my life changing through devoting myself to this practice, and literally everything changed from there, and it's been such a powerful part of my journey, definitely. Yeah.
So do you think that certain songs have triggered some of the hurt and pain that sometimes we can carry? Because so in your sort of journey, you know, we use the tools that are around us, and me particularly, I use a lot of poetry that I find that I often sort of talk. Some of the words that I'm talking about really is some of my own experiences, and that's helped. Do you think that sort of helped you heal and overcome some of that trauma and pain that you might have carried yourself?
Definitely, yeah. Like we were saying before, like the resonance of the songs that you relate to, it just unlocks something in you, and you're like, oh, yeah, and knowing that somebody else has been through that, and that you know this expression of creativity that's come through music or poetry, it almost brings a sense of like familiarity and trust that you're not going through it alone, and that you know everyone's connected through these traumas, and everybody is healing through different forms of creativity and sharing that, and that brings this like unified sense of we're all in it together, like we're all one, and we can get through it.
That's so important, because so many of us are afraid to show that side, and I feel in groups it's so powerful when we start to open our vulnerability, and we realise so many of us are experiencing the same thing, the same doubts, the same insecurities.
We're
the
not
same
alone.
fears.
We're not
Right,
alone.
coming together, and I feel one of the most powerful parts of any kind of group is the sharing.
Yes.
And I actually look forward, I cherish the sharing.
Yeah, I do.
And many times I hang on everybody's words, because everybody's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
And it can be that person who might be the quietest in the room, and when they start to share and open up, you're like,
Yeah, it's so true.
this is what I'm witnessing here is quite amazing.
Yeah.
It's a transformation.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
But actually, I'm sat here thinking the simplest question I haven't asked yet, which is, how did you two first cross paths? where did your journey meet together?
Well, it was actually, I was holding a Medicine for the Heart, which is like a kirtan medicine music cacao circle at my friend's back garden last year, when we had a few weeks out, you know, where we could gather in small groups. And for a friend, wasn't it, you came to that and welcomed Emma in to use her voice into the space, and it was so nice for me, because someone, you know, standing up and singing so beautifully, I felt like I received so much in that, obviously being the space holder, and we disconnected from then, and it's never looked back. It's been great.
It was actually one of the first times that I shared my voice in a communal setting, and I'd held one space before, but I had so much nerves. I was like, oh my god, I have to sing. You know, again, like from there, everything's just snowballed, isn't it?
And it's in terms of fast tracking, you know, in terms of voice, and I mean, we co-write songs, we sing together a lot now, and it's just so beautiful. But to witness someone, you know, evolve through, because I've been singing for 15 years, you know, but Em's just evolving. It's really beautiful to witness and to sing alongside her.
I think that's what's so special in life, watching others evolve as well.
It's the most rewarding thing ever, isn't it?
And I think the thing is that I'm starting to see is so many of us, when we're sharing a song or doing anything in any part of life, sometimes we assume people are already going to critique us. And what I've felt in ceremonies, circles, in what I've witnessed, is you can feel people willing you on to be great, to be who you're meant to be.
Yeah.
You're like, this is going to be great. I know it is, and that energy's coming towards you, which must give you, empowers you to go, do you know any of this fear? It needs kicking out of the way. It doesn't matter.
It's not true.
It's not real, is it?
Yeah, it's an illusion. Yeah, and every time you step through that, a part of it dissolves. Yeah. You know, it's just like, I love, you know, creating spaces where everyone can share and shine, and, you know, whether it's a story or a poem or you know, a song or, you know, a dance, a drum. Like, it's just for everyone to have a space to share, because we all have, you know, lives.
I feel we all,
share.
I don't know if you both agree, but I feel it's the way of everyone on this earth that we all have a voice.
Definitely.
And singing and musical instruments should be part of I feel it's within everyone.
Yeah, because
I feel it's the true way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So agree with that.
And I know a lot of, I mean, what have been your experiences in terms of travel? I mean, there's places, myself and Stephen would like to go, Costa Rica, and we'd like to sit with one of the tribes, and I know a lot of people that have sat with us, the Yamanaya tribe, and they literally will come back as musicians. And what's your experience been in terms of travel?
It's funny because a couple of years ago, or last year actually, last January, I was in Bali, and something was just calling me there, and like I'd been to, the year before I'd been to a kirtan there, and something was just like, I need to go, and I'd picked up the guitar maybe the month before, and I was like, I need to go, and when I was there, I ended up, you know, being with a teacher and learning these mantras and learning how to play the harmonium, and I was really playing the guitar a lot, and you know, just through devotion and through practice and through just saying to myself, like committing to myself, you know, I'm, you know, almost devoting myself to this practice. I came back and like I could just play, and it was just like I was given these gifts and then being able to share them. So it was literally like, coming back and having these.
What was coming back to sort of family and friends around you?
Yeah.
What was their reactions when they saw this transformation? Because it can be very interesting what happens around you.
Definitely,
People, in a more positive sense, we'll start with. You know, a lot of people can be like, wow, and be so pleased, but I wonder how things were around you and how people were when this gift came.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question actually, because obviously, you know, you are very celebrated, especially by you know, friends and stuff like that, and encouraged obviously by Aimee and, you know, people who I was with. But with my family, I still have quite a resistance to share it with, because it is such a new part of who I am, and you know, they're not used to seeing me in that sense, and it's a bit like, well, all of a sudden I've got like 4 guitars and I'm like holding these, you know, music ceremonies, and it's like, what? Like where's that come from? So to, you know, and sometimes, I don't know whether you all feel this, but you know, when you're seen by people who've known you from, you know, old selves, you almost see their reflection of you, and it takes you back into that kind of feeling. So when you feel yourself evolving so much, it's almost hard to be seen in that reflection. And
true.
Yeah, and it's like, are you really seeing me now? Because I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah, I think things can evolve, can't they, in a way of, it's interesting because Stephen did a writing from Spirit some years ago, and it says, you know, about friendships, and some friendships are not forever, and it's not because there's a good person, bad person, it's because we all are evolving in different, and sometimes if we try and go back, you know, we're going back to something, and we're going back to old self. So we can't. We're moving forward, and it's just a gentle parting of the ways, you know, and wishing well and going on that journey. So I think you touched on a really good point. And sometimes I've felt this, that part of us can try and go back sometimes, and it doesn't work.
Doesn't feel
it's
right.
Hard work, and it falls apart.
It's everything.
And that's a good, if anybody's listening here, a clear sign when anything isn't right is it's hard work.
Exactly, it's not
it's not flowing.
If something's meant to be, it will just flow.
Yes.
But I can tell, even when, you know, we put together this chat, it came together very easily. But if anything's hard work, I'll wait.
I'm the same these days. I'm like, well, okay, well, there's a few obstacles here, so maybe I should listen to that, because it's not in alignment right now.
And I think there's a great understanding, because I know we've spoke a few times when we were organising chats and different things, and that doesn't align, and we can accept it. It's not meant to be. If there's any obstacles, instead of forcing or trying to make things fit. And that's where our sort of headaches come. And what I like to call is the Rubik's Cube of the mind is created. This so puzzle, true. Something so simple has become a puzzle when it doesn't need to be, does it? So I don't know if you got...
I've got
too quiet for too long.
I've got loads of questions actually. What I really find interesting is you know, when you observe the changes of the world, and particularly with mantras, and it's interesting how you went to Bali, and it's actually gone back to the 60s and 70s where a lot of musicians, famous musicians, went to India, and they came back. The Beatles and a lot of the big Rolling Stones,
Absolutely, George Harrison.
a lot of people went, and I find what's really interesting, particularly in the South American continent and the Indian continent, how they are on the rise of really teaching what I call the Western culture. The Western culture, I feel, carry a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. Where do you sort of feel that the Indian mantras are going to be in the forefront on part of the healing that is required in society? Do you feel? Because I feel like a lot of that coming through yoga, a lot of those practices have come from the Indian continent, hasn't it? So what's your thoughts on that?
I think, you know, the amount that yoga is now in the West is an absolute gift, even though people's perspective of yoga is quite different. It's like fitness, and but really it's about inner unity in every way. But the beautiful thing is that obviously Sanskrit and all these other forms of devotion come with it. So that it's rising, you know. But then if we think about other cultures, you know, we've had our own kind of mantras coming, our own land mantras and things that have been very forgotten. You know, I was even thinking it recently. I was like, you know, holding space, doing a festival soon. Like, what kind of, you know, really ancient Celtic Druid, and it's just to find any is almost impossible. It's like they've been wiped from history. Whereas we all used to sing around the fire. That's what happens. So it's like these other cultures are coming in to teach us how to remember devotion.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because you know, when we talk about this, is where there's always a positive in everything, and not being able to sort of travel at this moment in time where we are, but appreciate these lands, because there's so much on our own lands to discover and to appreciate. And when we're looking out, we don't always appreciate what's here. And I think that's such a good point. I think we spoke about it before, because we're getting deja vu as we're talking.
We say that quite a lot, that because we've both travelled a lot and we've been, you know, on other lands and you know, learned these tools and the magic that these sacred lands hold. But you know, obviously we've been restricted to where we were birthed recently. And it's almost like we've brought those tools here, and it's like, well, what can we activate? What can we find that is sacred to our land? And it's like, we've learned that devotion and that connection from experiencing these places, and it's like, well, okay, let's bring it back here where we really need it, where there isn't that connection.
100%. And no matter what we sing, because it's funny you're asking that again, you're so in tune. So I was thinking about this on the way here, you know, about if we're singing, you know, in Sanskrit and we don't know what these things, it doesn't matter what we sing or who we sing to or what language it is. It's the land itself, and also the healing that takes place through each other, and how the land receives that is what matters and what happens. So any form of devotion like that is just
I think that word devotion, it mentioned, so important. Because we were speaking, a friend of ours many months ago, and he was actually talking about, you know, any forms of spiritual work, if we want to call it that, or ceremonial work, medicine work, and you know, devoting yourself is so important. It's a practice, you live in it. And so many, he compared it to, you can't go out and buy a book on bodybuilding and expect the muscles to come with it. And it's such a good analogy. You've got to live the practice. And this is where, I don't know if you found this as well, but myself and Stephen, with some of the medicine work, your diet naturally changes.
Definitely.
The things that, not matter of thinking, I can't have it, or I'm going on this diet.
So natural.
It's how can I have it? If I have that, my body's going to reject it immediately.
So true.
It's a vibrational thing, I think. You know, as you start to do this healing work, these spiritual practices, your vibration changes, and that changes what you're magnetised towards, and what your body says no to, and what your body says yes, and you're feeding, you know, that higher energy kind of thing that you're carrying. So, you know, to put something that isn't as beneficial into your body's going to go, no, I don't want that. And it becomes not of the mind, it's the body that's leading that decision.
I just want to ask the both of you, which is a bit of a different question, and it might be a little bit of advisement for me really, is anybody who's watching that are drawn to music and would like to sing, that maybe struggle to sing. And we talked a little bit about the voice and the throat chakra. Now, do you think, and I believe this as well, that everybody's born with the voice, but some people have come back, which is going to lead to another question about your divine purpose, your divine gift. of singing and songwriting, which not everybody would have that gift. We're all gifted in our own way. But so what advisement can you sort of give to people that would like to improve the voice? And what process? Is it something, you know, and I think maybe it's more than just singing lessons.
Yeah.
Is it something that you have to work on your voice more? Sort of what's your sort of thoughts? It's quite an in-depth question,
yeah,
that,
there's
but
so many levels.
there's so many levels to that, yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
I thought we were going to draw straws for that.
I think there's so many things to it. I think for me personally, actually, the more connected I've been to my body, which is quite like the more grounded that I've been in terms of reconnecting to her through, I've found my voice expand. And actually it was in, you know, again, talking about people that are going through really hard times right now, and times of, you know, those shadowy times which we're all going through at the moment, where we're uncovering things. Is the more we uncover and the times that we go through these periods of rebirth and even loss, you know, these spaces can open up.
Yeah.
I think for women specifically, it's very much connected to the womb, because they're completely connected. So what we hold in the womb impacts our voice.
So true, yeah.
And it's the same, you know, in men, and it's often the heart, because this is where men carry a lot, you know. So it's they're connected, and this is a channel, you know. But even things like mantra, like Emma was saying, just actually using your voice and knowing that our voice is sacred. Like the earth needs all our voices right now. It's not about being perfect. It's about just expressing, not from a place of like, I want to express in this way, or I want to write this song in this way. It's to just sound. Like often I get up in the mornings, I'm doing my practice, and I'm just sounding. I'm creating all these random noises.
Right.
It's just. I mean, even when the way I write, sometimes I don't think about lyrics. It's just using your voice as an instrument, rather than it being anything attached to that.
Yeah.
And the more that you do that, the more this space opens for me personally. But yeah, there's many layers to it.
Yeah, really nice answer. Like really resonate with that as well. And especially the loss. Like for me, it was a big loss. My grandma, like she was like such a special, like huge person in my life, and she was a singer, an incredible singer, and you know that was her path, but never got to kind of explore that. And you know, she was the one who always encouraged me to sing, but I was too shy. And then as she was passing, I was singing to her. And then as she passed, I always like to bring it into the space, because I've got so much to thank her for. But I feel her voice is coming through me.
She's
a lot
always
of the time.
Yeah, you can feel that.
Really,
you can feel it.
She is.
That energy. You know.
And even like songs, I feel like she's given me songs, you know, from spirit, and you know, so I've really got so much to thank for her. But also, you know, not only singing, but I think speaking your truth, speaking your honesty, that helps to clear so much space for you to express authentically, like in conversation, in, you know, not holding things in and just communicating completely in truth, in your own truth. Has helped me to open up my voice in singing, and you know, stepping through things like, I feel like every time I've held a space, or every time I've sang in front of people, or you know, shared something that was a bit uncomfortable or something, my voice has evolved. Literally, I can hear it evolving, like through these things, because there's space, energy being cleared through my throat.
Wow.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it goes so deep, doesn't it? If you think about the throat, if you think about what we hold ancestrally in terms of past lives, if you think about, you know, all of us, you know, through this, I mean, we're going into all kinds of things now, and I won't go deep into it because I won't stop talking, but like this cycle of patriarchy and the suppression that's taken place from that, not just for women, but for the feminine as a whole.
Yeah.
And for me, the feminine energy that's in men and women is about expression, it's the voice. But we, you know, as healers, as earth keepers, as people that are very in touch with nature, have been suppressed for thousands of years. And when we spoke out and were different, we were persecuted for it. So we hold that. Sometimes there's this thing about, and I still get it now, I've been holding women's circles for years, but when I'm receiving and we're going around a talking circle, sometimes I start getting the sweats, you know, and it's like, I'm not nervous, but I can feel my body going, oh, this isn't safe. Like, what's going to happen if I speak my deepest, most vulnerable truth? But every time we do, like Emma was saying, we clear this space, and it's remembering that right now we can speak, and we're doing that on behalf of our ancestors, and what a time to be using our voices.
I feel that's so important, what I was thinking about when you were telling about your grandmothers, if our ancestors are willing us on to be who we're meant to be, and to embody, to be greater.
Yeah.
And to break the loops that perhaps were there. They'll be so aware of it now, and they're willing us on. And I've felt that many a time from family, guides, teachers, inspirers in spirit, and they are willing us on. Because you can imagine your grandmother, she's going, go for it. And you can see where, maybe what you're saying, she didn't do quite what she wanted to do musically, but living that through you.
Exactly.
And that is, it's very special
it's
to me.
special.
That.
Isn't it?
And there's so many points there, I feel, even with the masculine side, men, and we've gone through, quite a lot of years of men don't dance and we don't do this, and it's all that side where the masculine can hold itself back as well.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, what's your thoughts on? We've got to talk the here and now, what we're in, and what we call it, myself and Stephen, is a great time of collective awakening.
Yeah.
It's. What I would say is, when we were brought into this movement, we say when we're born, we start our journey, don't we? That we have been asking for this time, and now it's here. It can be quite unnerving at times, ungrounding. People are feeling different things. And what are your thoughts on what is going on in the earth now, without naming anything specific? And not only your thoughts, but how have you guided yourself through the last 12 months? What's brought you through it to navigate through any obstacles?
Yeah, what's nourished you? Most likely music nourished you, isn't it?
The top one.
Yeah, big time. It's just been such a beautiful opportunity, and almost when it sort of began, and everyone's confused, what's happening, and again, like I think all of us I've been feeling something building in the collective for many years. I was saying, I could feel it bubbling inside me. Something's happening. Something's coming. And I think for me, it was just like, I've got this opportunity to pause and to come home to myself with no distraction, and to actually really devote myself to me. So what I keep getting from my guys all the time is just, this is soul preparation. You're preparing to, it's not about sort of exploding out into the world now. It's you're preparing for something, to take this time as the gift that it is. And devotion for me, it will get me through anything in life. And actually,
preparation.
So that's what they keep saying. All eyes are on earth. That's what I keep getting. All eyes are on earth. They take this time, use this time. It's large and it's beautiful.
I feel like we've got to remember as well, like, we chose this. Like, we chose
so important.
to come down onto this earth at this time.
It's not an accident that we're here.
No.
We've chosen to be here at this moment. So.
And the more we connect and the more we remember that we're coming here, we're providing a service for the earth at this moment. Like, it's pivotal, and like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what, like Aimee was saying, like, the soul has been preparing for us to step into this and really create change and shine light onto a time that has been challenging.
So true.
With everything with this, it's stepping stones, isn't it? That we liken it to the tarot card, the tower. Things have been built over thousands of years, and that tower is tumbling because the foundations, the truth is not being there, the light is not being there, and that's crumbling down. We have to rebuild that.
Yeah.
Something stronger for humanity. But I sort of feel with the awakening side, I think awakening people is only the very first step, because once people are awakened, you then reveal to, oh wow, what have I done? What's going on? And you're triggered, and that's where the real work begins. And and this awakening is going to last for thousands of years. So all those thousands of years of mistruth and manipulation and distortions, we have to unravel that, and it's down to, like he said, and that was really my question to the both of you, was about, do you feel what your divine purpose is? Do you feel in your heart, this is why I'm here, I'm here to do music, or do you still feel things are still being revealed to you? And why is it important to know what your divine purpose is?
Amazing question. I feel, for me, like, my soul knows, and I feel like it's always known. Like, there's been this like undercurrent of like knowingness, and now that it's finally here, I'm like, everything makes sense. Like, everything makes sense, and everything that is channeling through me. It is my heart, it's my soul, and to be providing that service is the deepest honour and the most fulfilling and soul satisfying feeling. So for me, that's telling me that this is right, this is your divine purpose. And you know, the more you like accept that and believe that, the more everything effortlessly unfolds for you. And it's like, yes, like here is everything you need to provide that service.
I so agree with you. I so agree. Yeah, I think that for me, it's again, I'd say it's been a real journey, I suppose, with music for me. It's been 15 years of kind of feeling like, oh, I lost it, and then it comes back. And, you know, as you do, and you go through these huge life cycles. And it was actually losing my womb and actually, you know, like having this huge death that happened in me where I reclaimed my voice and went, wow, I can actually support people through music. And that was 6 years ago, so from then it's been developing. And now I'm kind of in a seat where finally I feel like I understand the ability of what, you know, of what comes through the power of music and how much of a ripple you can create through that vibration frequency, through those words, through those life experiences, through vulnerability, and on a mass scale create as much healing for this earth as you can, you know, because music, you know, you can reach other lands through that auditory way, and also in with hearing song and the way it comes, like you were saying earlier, into the heart. It's a healing that is different to just going into a ceremonial space or doing meditation. It's a real quick route to make an impact or plant a seed for someone. And I think now it's like I'm in full belief of that. I'm in that seat now, and since I've started to trust myself, these opportunities have literally, like Emma was saying, fallen on my lap. When I said, here's some support with this, we're going to provide some support and assist you so that we can help that happen and it can be reached on a more wider scale. And it's just like, okay, and the universe is like, here you go, and it's just having absolute faith and trust in that, I feel.
I mean, what I was picturing when you were talking there of travelling is almost like a Glastonbury scene. And all that energy and everybody going, yes!
Imagine,
you can just feel it.
Like imagine Glastonbury, but imagine sending out healing music and mantra and medicine music into that space. Imagine the ripple effect of change, of love that would be spread through that. Like,
just incredible.
Yeah.
And imagine if medicine music was actually within the mainstream in some way.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine if seeds were planted through, you know, imagine if the lens of commercial music could change. And that's what I'm hoping for. It's far away, but in the future.
I feel that
possible.
is something that, because I have not met anybody yet who does not like it in any way. And many people constantly say, what's that song? What's that song? For anybody that's not listened to any medicine music that's listening, please do. There's so many outlets that you can find, and it will open doors, and one song leads to another, and it is music of the soul.
It's the way it's going, it's the way it's headed.
I've found that, me personally, and I'm going to be quite controversial actually, because I know Chris has been very lucky because you were brought up, you were very musical oriented with your mum and your dad's loving music, but I was never interested in music. I love classical music. I was always very drawn to classical music, and it was the vibrations, but it wasn't until I got into the medicine music I my love for music, because I can resonate with the words, where before, not detriment to the artists that are out there in the mainstream, that it's more about, a lot of it's more about selling than rather than the resonation of energy and love and healing. But I want to ask you both a question, two parts of this question is, did you feel a little bit different as children? You know, did you feel like, I'm a bit different here, what am I doing here? Because I felt that.
Question,
and I think that was so important to people that are watching, that, you know, the relatability, the vulnerability. So what was your journey as children?
I remember my mum still talks about it sometimes. When I was so young, coming into the world, you know, even from like 6, 7, those kind of years, and I'd say to her, Mum, I'm not from here. I want to go home. Can I go home now? And then she's like, what do you mean, darling? What do you mean? And I'm like, I'm not from here. I don't understand these humans. You know, like, can I just go home, please? And she was like, I remember at some point, I think she even sent me to a counsellor. She was a bit like, I don't know, she had something going on, because I was really quite, you know, it was a powerful thing that I kept bringing up. And I always just felt a bit like I was an alien, you know, that and I do doing some obviously we know now because we understand when the veils lift and we do this work what we truly are. But I always felt, and how people would treat each other, and even being in the school environments, and I just would observe humanity and feel really strange in the realm that we're in.
Wow, amazing, amazing that,
For me, totally the same. Like, when I think back to my childhood, I mean, I was very blessed with an amazing childhood, but there was this feeling in me like, what is going on? Like, I don't understand, like, feeling so unsettled of being here and feeling like real, like, limited, like being like, what, this can't be all that life is. Like, I don't understand. And, you know, I've had a real big journey with my body, and being in this body has, for a lot of my life, felt very uncomfortable, and I've been through a big journey with that. And, you know, there's this undercurrent throughout my whole life of like this like, something's not right, like I don't feel settled here at all. And it wasn't till, you know, a couple of years ago when, you know, you come into that full understanding of who you are, you know, that you're so much more than this body, and, you know, that this life, that everything kind of went, oh, like, I understand now. Like, I understand that feeling I had when I was a child of never feeling like I belonged, and like, it was a real eye-opener, and it almost made that all valid. Like, it was okay to feel like that as a child, because now, you know, you have a much better understanding of who you truly are.
Did you have any sort of spiritual experiences as children? I know some people have like guides or loved ones sitting on the edge of the bed. Is there anything that sort of triggered you as children? Any sort of spiritual, both of you?
My dreams, I've always been very connected in my dreams, like premonitions, and even when I was younger, I was like, wow, like, I dreamt that, and then it's happened. It happens a lot for me now, but like when I was younger, I was like, wow, this is mad, like what's going on? And it's always been like a big question.
Did you get a lot of deja vu?
A lot, yeah.
Oh yeah, I get that all the time now.
And when you've been somewhere, and I've been here before.
Yeah. Oh my god, I remember that, being on holiday once with my dad and never been there before, and saying, really young, about 7, saying, oh yeah, I know, I've been here. There's a phone box just at the end of this road when you turn left. And then we walked down there, and there it was, and it was just like, how did I know that?
Wow.
You know, it's like these things, and I'd always hear, because I'm quite clairaudient, so I'd always hear pitter-pattering, and I'd always feel energy. I think I definitely communicated with spirit a lot when I was a child, and then I kind of blocked that off quite a little bit.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like realising that we are not just this journey, this little box. Once we realise we're infinite, and we're opening up who we are, and I picked up that a little bit when you were talking there, Emma, that journey and feeling constrained, and obviously there's a lot of conditioning in this world as well. You know, personally with me, I rejected, without knowing it, education. I couldn't absorb it.
It was unnatural.
It didn't feel natural to absorb it to me, and I know why. You know, I used to think all sorts, but now I know why. Because it wasn't the truth I was seeking.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's important for everybody to listen to, because there's a lot more than what we were taught.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so much more. I mean, I've been shown in experiences, you know, you go back to Atlantis and all this that existed. We have been to this point before. You know, we have had this advancement, and we are so much more. And that's what we're picking up from both of your stories there.
It's like a remembrance of like, okay, this has happened before. It might not be the same, but we're going through the same kind of cycle. And a lot of things that I'm receiving, like through messages and stuff like that, is taking me back to those times. Like whether it's in dreams or meditation or anything, and it's like almost like, you know, you've been through this before, and I feel like we would.
I feel with just talk about that is our revelation, and we found that, I don't know if you found that with, I've got such an affinity with Egypt, and I feel that the last big revelation with humanity was the last with Akhenaten, where he wanted to have that one God and really change things, and I knew that I was reincarnated at that time, that really it was a huge opportunity for a massive advanced civilization to really step up its consciousness, but I think it was too much. And I feel that's where a lot of the Christianity, Catholicism, stuff like that comes from. And I think that's where a lot of the Egyptian hurt, the African hurt, where a lot of distortions and truths have hidden from Egypt. And because I feel that's where a lot of healing's needed.
A lot of hidden
the Egyptian
creativity and a lot of the feminine energy.
It's been hidden, suppressed.
Because a lot of I know one thing I saw where how respected the feminine energy was in Egypt. And a lot of things would have you read or believe that it was the men and the no, it was actually the feminine.
Yeah, and they would lead often.
Respected.
The men would create the action, but they would connect to spirit, and there'd be a woman that would be the one giving, okay, this is what we need to do.
Absolutely.
And how we move forwards, and then the men would say, right, let's go, we'll do it. And it was always that unity of, again, masculine, feminine, which is really the last reigning kind of society, and I think used earth magnetism and all these other things, but then it just
even on these lands as well, though, with the Celtic and the Druids, the suppression of the feminine and like everything that's been the dragons and the fairies and that mystical that has now been suppressed for their own safety. But I truly believe that this is all kind of reigniting and we're coming back to that.
It's coming back, as I said a few times, don't underestimate the feminine. Here it comes. But do you know, we're singing, just one point I wanted to mention with what's, even in terms of distortions or anything we're facing. And I was felt I was receiving this the other day before we were doing this talk, and I was thinking about both your voices or feeling, and those really gentle tones that can come in sometimes. And in this world we've lived through so many times of battling and shouting and feel like we have to fight hard. And I felt that gentle tone, that is the one that's going to break things. That's what's needed. And it's like the love, not the and that. No, it's that gentle tone that is words that will break.
But that's within, when we talk about masculinity and femininity, it's beyond gender.
Yes.
And I found even with some male musicians with plant medicines, soft. And that's where the energy centres within both of us, all of us, into the masculine and feminine.
Yeah, it's the nurturing force.
Yeah.
Really felt that in my heart when you said that.
Yeah, I felt it coming up again. It's like, and I felt it. Experience you both singing in ceremony, and I thought, this is what's going to take us through. And watch out, world, when it comes. This is amazing.
It's beautiful to realise that not everything has to be like forceful and harsh and like, when you're going through like different processes, like it can be just like soft and gentle and effortless, and just to be in that energy, like it's so powerful. It's so beautiful and healing.
I'd like to ask one final question. I think it would be a great question for the both of you. Is that if you can give a message to your younger self as a child, what advisement would you give your younger self? So you saw Aimee at 5 years old. What advisement would you give her, and what she's going to face in her life? What advisement would you give her?
That's a big one. I'd tell her to trust herself, and just to know that everything that was coming her way was an absolute gift. Was going to shape her for who she was powerfully going to be in the world. And that there'll be some really tough times, but that within that, you're going to gain so much strength and actually realise who you are and how important you are for this realm, and that there's beauty in every shade of life, and that I've got her spiritually all the time.
I feel the emotion.
Emotional.
I too. I was like, I'm being
I'm close.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. What about you, Emma?
Yeah.
So like Emma at 5 years old.
I'd say similar. Everything that you're going through is for great purpose. It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling, and you're not alone. You're seen, you're heard, you're loved, and it's okay to be who you are authentically, and to shine your light into this world. It's safe to do that. It's safe to be you. It's safe to be heard, and keep shining.
Lovely. Is anything you would, before, I know that Emma and Aimee are going to do some music for us, aren't they? Is anything that you would like to you feel that you want to share? any advisement that you feel that you want to give in relation to the mantras and music, anything that you want to share? It'd be great, because I know that you are bringing an album out, aren't you?
Yes, in the process of recording it.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about your album and what kind of music's on there?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, it's a collection of songs that have just come through me over the last 3 or 4 years that have brought such healing to my life and to spaces that I've shared, and finally I'm in a space now where it's being captured, and it's a real journey of, again, self-healing and self-realisation of truth and of remembering. Yeah, and again, these reminders that I've just promised my little girl really is that actually everything serves great purpose, and I hope that those songs can become mantras for people to remind them of their true nature, and to remind them that, you know, that they are enough and whole, and that there's beauty in all of life. So yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be a lot, you know, some real ceremonial type music in there, and then some. It's going to be a real blend and merge and mix of music, and I'm really excited.
A journey.
A real journey. Yeah, from start to finish, definitely. Yeah,
well, so where can people access then the music? They can buy the album and they can buy the songs? Yeah,
they'll be able to. We're going to be releasing a single first, which is going to be on Spotify and all the bigger platforms, and then the album we'll probably be launching around about autumn time, being realistic around that, but that'll be accessible through all those platforms as well.
Amazing.
So yeah, can't wait. Really excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
So have you got anything planned for the future with some of your songs, or?
Yeah, definitely. Want to, you know, allow it to reach as many people as possible. It's still in the process of how that's going to manifest. But yeah, getting so many messages about recording and being able to share it on a greater scale. So yeah, it's coming for sure. Yeah.
I know that you both hold specific kind of circles, don't you?
Yeah.
And what do they entail?
So it's a very ceremonial space.
Yeah.
You know, we come together, and it's a space where all is welcome, and it's, you know, healing for ourselves internally. You know, getting into the heart and releasing any emotion or energy that is, you know, maybe stagnant in our body. And we use a lot of mantra, and, you know, I always say in circle, you know, these mantras are, they're not derived of the human mind. They don't come from anything that is logical. They are gifted from spirit, and, you know, they have a power that is beyond any logical thinking.
Yeah.
So when you're in it and you're like, what does this mean? Like, what does that word mean? I've got no idea. Am I saying it right? Then trust in, you know, they're having a much more powerful effect on your energy, on your body, on healing for yourself and the collective than your mind can comprehend.
The great mystery.
Exactly. And receive it and feel it more so than think about what you're doing. And, you know, I always welcome, you know, I share some of my own sacred songs, and I open the space for others to share their gifts, and I think that's an incredible way for people to evolve in, you know, them sharing and you know, just allowing ourselves to express authentically, you know, our own personal gifts. I think that's important. Aimee taught me that, you know, with inviting me to share in one of her circles.
Wow.
So yeah, sharing this connection through sound, through healing, through mantra, sacred songs. And yeah, the energy really builds. It's quite a big ceremony, you know, everyone's dancing and, you know, just being themselves and accepted and welcomed into this beautiful community we've co-created together.
So how can people access, how can they contact you? Do you have a web page, do you have Instagram, is there anywhere people can...
Yeah, they can contact me through Instagram. My Instagram's Emma Charn, Charn.
We'll post a link. We'll post all these links for everybody, so you'll be able to follow and
get a look at the album and the music and stuff.
If you're nearby in the UK, or anybody visiting the UK, then you can experience these things. Or maybe they'll be coming to you very soon. You know?
I Glastonbury.
Yeah. Watch out, world. But what I find, you know, when you mention sharing, I'm sure there's many people listening who find both your stories very inspirational, who have started their journey as well, and they'll find it empowering.
Yeah.
To say, you know, I can do this. You know.
If I'd have thought even you know, a year and a half ago that I'd be where I am now, I'd be like, no way you ever going to be able to get in front of anyone and sing, and like, it just shows, you know, when the path is laid out for you and you just trust and you just surrender to it, you know, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
Yeah.
So inspirational.
It's a great message.
I like the fact that when me and Chris holding space for some of our plant medicine work, and you sometimes question with Icaros,
Yeah.
you're thinking, what am I talking about here? And you're just getting inspired and spirit working through you in those words and helping people purge. And I remember sitting with you the very first time, both of you, in one of the ceremonies, and I remember one song that you were singing triggered something really ancient within me, and I was lying there so peaceful, and then I had to come up and I was purging, and I saw dinosaurs, and I saw these big dinosaurs flying, and it was something really heavy coming up. So it's the vibrations, the intention, the words, the power of the song that triggers things. And that's why I would recommend to anybody sit in a plant medicine ceremony with musicians like yourselves and have the full experience, because it's absolutely out of this world.
And that's why you know it comes from spirit, these songs, because you see it in that ceremony, and you see what it brings out in people, and you're like, wow,
you can see that heart to heart, what we were saying earlier as well, that it's coming from here. Yes, it's coming from here and here, but it's here to here. And it's
I know
really
we mentioned
special.
earlier about when we're in ceremony, you feel these songs like you're growing. You're growing like to 10 feet taller, and I feel that's your true being. Almost like, don't slouch, stand up and be proud of who you are.
Be large.
Remember who you are. You know.
And when we're playing small, be tall. Like I was saying earlier, it's
so
like
much.
stand into who you are.
It's the
So
ego,
many
isn't it?
of
The
us.
ego that is always there.
I think so many of us are quick to have our head down and now be proud, stand up. And,
you can shine your heart more,
Yeah.
can't you? When
You're
you're standing
up,
up tall. That's one thing, in ceremony I was shown, is like when you're leading from this place, like I could see like geometry, the light that was shining out from that rather than up here, like it was different. And when you're leading from this heart space, like it's so much more powerful and authentic rather than a mind-driven force.
There's one more question I wanted to sneak in here that keeps coming to me. And obviously I can see guitars here, and I don't know what other instruments you can play, but is there anything that's sort of you're feeling that's coming into your radar, musical instrument wise, that you feel you'd be working with at some point?
Oh, interesting, that.
Oh, that's a lovely question.
Yeah.
I a couple of years ago when I was on that travelling experience, I woke up one morning. I used to play the flute when I was in school.
Oh, wow.
Like when I was like 6, 7, 8. Can't even remember how I was like young. I loved it. And then I woke up one morning, and I was in the Philippines at the time, and I was like, I feel like I want to play the flute again. I was like, I feel I had this calling. Anyway, we went to this musical night that night, and there was this guy playing a bamboo flute. And I was like, whoa, that's an interesting synchronicity. I went to talk to him, and I was like, I was thinking about that this morning. He was like, I make them myself and I sell them.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, so I got one from him and, had a little play around, and I was like, I feel like this is going to be a real pivotal in my life at some point, and I've started to pick it up again, and
I love the flute.
and it's like, I feel, for me personally, I feel like that is an instrument that I'll be working with, and the similar thing happened with a drum the other day. It was like a very synchronistic time, and somebody came to my song circle, and he'd brought all these drums that he'd made himself. And at the end, I was like, wow, I really felt them, really resonated with them, and I ended up leaving with one of them. So, so I feel like those two instruments have come into my
Wow,
awareness.
amazing.
Look forward to hearing that.
It's beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think I'm the same. I think in the last ceremony we were in, in that moment where everything is becoming, the veil was lifting. And I was handed a drum, and I've played with shamanic drums, and I've connected with them for years, but I've not sort of devoted, a lot of time. As again, it's like going to the instruments that we're familiar with, but it was just such a moment for me, and I felt like when surrendering to that, what was coming through, just in terms of being a channel with that earthly vibration, that deep earthly ancient vibration, was like nothing I'd ever experienced. It's like it opened more of a vessel within me. So I'm having one made at the moment that's intentionally going to be made for those medicine spaces, and I'm really excited to be connecting in that way, because again, my inner child, I began with drums. When I was 10, I bought a drum kit. I love getting on the cajon or the bongos. It's just like it's playful for me.
Yeah.
It brings me so much joy, and there's something really really powerful about the frequency of that deep, earthly, ancient. So it's exciting.
You know what? The instrument that I would love to. Actually, I brought two for the centres, the didgeridoo.
Amazing.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because that's such a deep, and I love to use one of them as more the plant medicine.
It takes me straight. As soon as anyone plays a didgeridoo, I feel like the earth opens up, and I'm like, it's so powerful.
Amazing. I can't wait. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to hand over to Emma and Aimee.
We're going to bow out, and I think it's just a good chance to just say a massive thank you to Emma and Aimee to coming here, and it's a massive honour to have you with us and to be sharing this, and as you're sharing truths, it just makes you feel good. You know, I feel great. So,
Thank you so much.
And just thank you everybody for listening, and we're going to post all the links below. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We're going to bow out now. We're going to leave with style, with some music, and we're not going to get myself and Stephen are going to bow out, and it's all yours.
Thank you
very much. Thank you.